Among monsters and beasts, I was never meant to blend in. I was born to rule. I am DKing Saad, and this is the DKing Combat Podcast. Let me ask you something. Who's in control of your life? Not what you say, not what you post, not what you pretend. I mean, the truth. When things go wrong, when pressure hits, when emotions rise, who's actually in control? Because most men will say, I am. But their actions say something completely different. They get angry instantly. They get distracted constantly. They get pulled into nonsense daily. They react instead of deciding. They consume instead of building. They follow instead of leading. And then they wonder why their life feels out of control. Here's the reality most people don't want to hear. If you don't control your mind, everything else will control it for you. Let me say that again. If you don't control your mind, everything else will control it for you. Your environment, your phone, your emotions, other people's opinions, your past, your fears, everything. And once that happens, you are not living. You are being driven like a machine without a driver. You see, in combat, we train one thing above everything else: control under pressure. Not strength alone, not speed alone, control. Because when chaos hits, the man who controls himself controls the situation. And the man who loses control becomes the situation. You have seen it. A guy gets hit once and he panics, swings wildly, burns his energy, makes mistakes. He didn't lose because he was weak. He lost because he lost control. This happens usually for first time fighters who ever step in the ring. I have seen that happen to me as well before. Because once it's your first time stepping in the ring, you have a lot of pressure. Everybody's watching you, everybody's looking at you. You don't want to make mistakes, and then boom, you get hit, and you are panicking that how can I get hit? But as you mature, you understand getting hit is part of the fight. It doesn't make you a less of a fighter if you get hit. Do you understand? So now understand this. Life is the same fight, just slower. Every day you're being tested, not by fists, but by pressure, stress, temptation, distraction, ego, comfort. And most men fail these tests silently. No one sees it, no one calls it out, but it's happening. They wake up tired, scroll their phone, delay their work, avoid discomfort, react emotionally, repeat the cycle, and slowly they lose control of their own life. Let me make this clear. Control is not about being emotionless. It's about being in command of your emotions. There's a difference. Anyone can act calm when life is easy. But when things go wrong, that's where real control shows. When someone disrespects you, do you explode or do you choose your response? When things don't go your way, do you quit or do you adjust? When you feel tired, do you stop Or do you execute anyway? That's control. And here's the part most people don't understand. Control is built, not given. You built it. Nobody's gonna hand it to you. You don't wake up one day with discipline. You don't magically become focused. You don't suddenly gain mental strength. You build it through repetition, through discomfort, through doing what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. Because feelings are unstable. They change every day, sometimes every hour. For some people, it's every second and minutes. If your life is controlled by how you feel, you will never be consistent. And if you are not consistent, you will never be dangerous. Let's go deeper. There are 3 levels of control every man must develop. Level 1. Control over action. This is basic. Do what needs to be done, regardless of mood. Train when you don't feel like it. Work when you don't feel like it. Show up when you don't feel like it. Most people fail here because they rely heavily on motivation. And motivation is unreliable. Level 2. Control over emotion. Now, it gets harder. Can you stay composed when things go wrong? Can you stay calm under pressure? Can you avoid reacting like everybody else? This is where men separate because emotions are powerful, but they are not meant to control you. Remember that. I'm not disregarding that emotions are nothing or is useless or anything. Emotions are powerful, but they are not meant to control you. Now, moving on to level 3, control over mind. This is elite level. Can you control what you think about? Can you direct your focus? Can you avoid negative loops? Can you silence doubts when it appears? Because your mind will try to weaken you. It will tell you to stop. It will tell you to quit. It will tell you you're not ready. And if you believe it, you lose before anything even starts. Understand this. The world is full of distractions designed to break your focus. Your attention is under attack every single day. Social media, entertainment, noise, opinions, comparisons. And if you don't protect your mind, it will be shaped by everything around you. You won't even realize it. You will just feel less focused, less driven, less sharp. That's not an accident. That's lack of control. Let me give you something practical. Because this is not just philosophy. This is training. If you want control, you need to start small. Rule number 1. Do one thing every day that you don't feel like doing. Very simple. Just one thing. Number 2. Catch your reactions. Now, this is very important. Most people don't even realize what they are doing. Okay? They are super automatic mode. They don't care about what's happening. So you need to focus on catching your own reactions. Before you speak, before you respond, pause. Think about it. Number 3, control your environment. I will say it's the most important one. Reduce distractions. Protect your focus. Stop endless scrolling. Number 4, train under pressure. Not just physically, mentally. I'm always telling people, physical training is easy, really easy. It's the mental part that is making people fail, because that's where it actually gets hard. Because control is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows when it's tested. Let me tell you something most people won't say. Weak men are controlled. Strong men control. Remember, weak men are controlled. Strong men control. And I'm not talking about controlling others. I'm talking about controlling yourself first. Because if you can't control yourself, you have no right trying to control anything else. Not your life, not your future, not your environment. Everything starts here. So ask yourself again, who's in control? Your emotions, your habits, your distractions, or you? Because your future will be built by that answer. Now understand this. Most people think control is something you switch on when you need it. Like a button, like a mode, like something you activate only when things get serious. That's not how it works. Control is not something you turn on in pressure. It's something you have already built before pressure arrives. Because when pressure hits, you don't rise, you reveal. You reveal your habits. You reveal your discipline. You reveal your mental conditioning. That's why some men stay calm when everything is collapsing, and others fall apart over small things. We have seen this countless times, so we all know what we are talking about. It's not luck. It's not personality. It's not genetics. It's preparation. Unseen preparation. The kind nobody claps for. The kind nobody notices. The kind that happens in silence. Waking up when you don't feel like it. Training when you are tired. Staying focused when distractions are everywhere. Controlling your reactions when your ego wants to speak. That's where control is built. Let me take you more deeper, because this is where most people misunderstand everything. They think control is restrictive. They think discipline limits them. They think structure kills freedom. You heard a lot. You only live once. YOLO, try everything, this, that, blah, blah, blah. It's all chatter and nonsense. Because the truth is the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. Control creates power. Structure creates dominance. Because without control, you are not free. You are a slave to your impulses. If you can't control your hunger, your cravings control you. If you can't control your emotions, other people control you. If you can't control your focus, your environment controls you. That's not freedom, that's dependence. And most people like that living every single day, thinking they are in control while being pulled in every direction. Look at the average day of a man with no control. He wakes up, checks his phone immediately. He consumes before he produces. He reacts before he thinks. He moves without intention. And by the end of the day, he feels tired, but accomplished nothing. Not because he is incapable, but because he is uncontrolled. Now compare that to a man with control. He wakes up with purpose, he decides his actions, he protects his focus, he moves with intention. Same 24 hours, different results. That's the power of control. And here's something even deeper. Control builds identity. Every time you do what you said you would do, you reinforce who you are. Every time you break your word to yourself, you weaken that identity. So over time, you either become a man who trusts himself or a man who doubts himself. And that changes everything. Because confidence is not built by motivation. It's built by evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you don't collapse under pressure. That's real confidence. Not loud talk, not fake energy, not temporary hype. Real confidence is quiet, controlled, and stable. And it comes from one thing: consistency under pressure. Now let's connect this back to combat again, because this is where it becomes undeniable. When you step into a real situation, there's no time to think about what kind of man you want to be. There's no time to build discipline. There's no time to develop control. You show up with what you have already built. That's it. If you have trained yourself to stay calm, you stay calm. If you have trained yourself to react intelligently, you react intelligently. If you have trained yourself to control fear, you control fear. But if you haven't, then fear controls you. That's the difference. And this applies to everything: business, relationships, life decisions, pressure situations. You don't perform based on intention. You perform based on conditioning. And if your conditioning is weak, your performance will be weak. And if your conditioning is strong, your performance becomes reliable. That's what we're building here. Not motivation, not temporary energy, reliability under pressure. Because that's what makes a man dangerous. Not just strength, not just skill, but control. Controlled strength, controlled aggression, controlled execution. That's power. Remember this. The definition of power here is controlled strength, controlled aggression, and controlled execution. Now let me give you another truth most people ignore. The man who have more control, he has less need to prove it. So basically, the more control you have, the less you need to prove. You don't react to every challenge. You don't respond to every comment. You don't engage in every conflict. Because you choose. You decide what matters. You decide where your energy goes. That's real dominance. Not loud behavior. Not constant reactions. Silence when needed. Action when required. That's control. And when you reach that level, something changes. You stop being affected by small things. You stop being pulled into distractions. You stop wasting energy. You become focused, sharp, efficient, and now everything you do starts to compound. Your training improves, your business improves, your mindset improves because your energy is no longer scattered, it's directed. That's where real growth begins. But let me be honest with you, this is not easy. Control is uncomfortable. It requires saying no. It requires discipline. It requires going against your impulses. And most people don't want that. They want comfort. They want ease. They want shortcuts. But comfort destroys control. And without control, you never reach your potential. So the question is simple. What do you want? What do you really want? Temporary comfort or long-term power? Because you can't have both. Every time you choose comfort, you weaken control. Every time you choose discipline, you strengthen it. And over time, those small decisions build your entire life. So again, ask yourself and be very honest with you. Who is in control? Because now you understand something deeper. It's not just about today. It's not just about this moment. It's about what you are becoming. And what you are becoming is shaped by what you control or what controls you. So decide and then act accordingly, because your future will be built by that answer. But that answer needs to be truth. Do not lie to yourself. Among monsters and beasts, I was never meant to blend in. I was born to rule, and control is where real power begins.